Hello again. Okay, so this time I want to touch on what is somewhat of a sensitive topic. Okay, and I know that we all have our different views on it based on our life experiences and just how we feel about certain incidences that have taken place in America and even in other places in the world, but mainly here in America. So there have been mass shootings, um, horrible events. A lot of the, quite a few of those shootings have taken place in some of our, our schools where our children attend. But other shootings have taken place at public events, nightclubs, concerts. We got a problem. We got a problem. And actually, we've got quite a few problems. So I've sat back and I've watched America argue and debate, and different arguments have come up about banning certain firearms, and not only banning firearms. What was it? After that one shooting, they were banning the slide fire stocks, the bump fire stocks, and there was talks about banning AR-15s. So I'll admit up front that my opinion in this matter is semi-biased. It's biased because I am a gun owner. I'm prior military, so I am into some of the more fancy looking guns, that are modeled after the M16. I'm also more into some of the guns that are not available, here in the civilian market or whatever. So, I am sort of biased, but at the same time, I'm concerned about our safety, and safety first, and especially the safety of our children, because we can't drop the ball anymore when it comes to the safety of our children. I don't even want to think about, if it was my child's school that got shot up, or if it was, my child, who, if I lost one of my children, in a mass shooting and stuff like that. I don't even want to think about that. I shouldn't have to think about that, and no other parent should either. So one of the things I want to get to is that the truth of the matter is we could ban AR-15s. That's not going to stop the school shootings. You can ban bump fire stocks. That's not going to stop mass shootings. The AR-15 is just the weapon of choice, right now. Let's not forget, I forget what the college that it was back in the day. Someone took a rifle up on the roof and started, shooting at students, and I think they were shooting at cops and stuff like that. This was way back when, and it doesn't take an AR-15 to commit, to perform a mass shooting and start dropping bodies. It just doesn't. If you ban the AR-15 today, it could be, a 38 special tomorrow. I mean, the reload time is a bit slower, but the fact of the matter is that someone could more easily, if anything, conceal, a revolver or a pistol, and, get somewhere critical and then just really start, dropping bodies. And, obviously we're not going to trample on, our constitutional right to bear firearms, and ban all firearms, so that's not a possibility, and just targeting the AR-15 is pointless. What we have is, the weapon of choice is the AR-15 for right now. In some cases, in other cases, it may not be. Tomorrow it can be a 38. The day after that, it could be a 12-gauge shotgun. Vehicles have been used to add up body counts. In the past, pipe bombs have been, when they could get it off the internet, how to make pipe bombs and acid bombs and stuff like that. And, bomb calls are made to schools all the time. How many are real and fake, I don't know. But the weapons aren't the problem. It's the individuals with, well, I put them in two different categories. They either got something wrong with them mentally, and that would identify a mental health issue that we need to address. And then you have those who are just pure evil. They're just pure evil. There's nothing that we can do about those individuals except to try to detect them early and deal with them before they become an imminent threat. However, it's not possible, or it would be more, it would be more professional, I think, to think that it's not possible. From a security standpoint, you want to always be ready for things like that. So, having the proper security measures in place, preventative measures in place to prevent and or address a situation like that should it arise, I think is just as important. So from the mental health standpoint, there are ways that we can get to the bottom of some of these shootings, or get to the bottom of some of these, I don't want to call them mental cases, but some of these disturbed individuals, before it gets that serious, or we may see the red flags as is about, as it is about to get that serious, and be able to intervene. So we really need to start looking in the mental health direction as a potential, I don't really want to call it a solution, but it is part of the solution to, a very big problem that may need quite a few different solutions. And then as far as dealing with the evil part, we just need to have the security measures in place, proper security personnel at the schools. That's, we can do that, in regards to the schools. Proper security can be in place in the schools for a timely response, an effective and very well trained response, and even in a preventative measure. And I know myself and a lot of other veterans, when a lot of these issues arise, a lot of us are like, put us to work. Put us to work. A lot of us do have the skill sets, the discipline, and even the experience in some cases to address those situations should they arise. So with some additional training and stuff like that, I believe that a lot of our veterans could be some of the better people for those jobs. However, I won't turn a blind eye to civilians who would be capable of doing that work as well. So we need to address the mental health issues. We need to address proper security measures being put in place to deal with the evil, mental health to deal with the people who are going through things, who eventually lose it and cause these mass issues. And that can, for the most part, resolve issues in our schools. Now, as far as the mass killings and stuff like that happen, in public locations and stuff like that, we need to be, which I'm going to have to talk about. I'm going to have to talk about in more detail in another video. But we need to be more aware and not hide behind the fact that domestic terrorism is a very real threat in today's world, in today's America. Domestic terrorism has been a threat, an ongoing threat for a very long time, and it hasn't been spoken about. those domestic terrorists have not been identified or labeled as terrorists, and they have not been addressed as terrorists. And there are lone wolf actors out there, who are harder to detect, but there are those who have been saying, for the longest that, hey, they want to, create a civil war. They want to create a race war. They want to, kill certain kinds of people, and these are people that we should have been paying attention to. Bin Laden, declared war on America before 9/11 happened. We knew about it. Proper actions weren't taken. A lot of American lives were lost as a consequence of that. And it took how long to catch them? How long, how much, how things got worse before they got better, So, in regards to domestic terrorism, I'm going to touch that in another video. But I definitely have plans on addressing and properly dealing with domestic terrorism. But I also have plans on proper security being placed in our children's schools, proper mental health programs being put in place, and other programs being put in place to kind of prevent certain issues like bullying and some of these kids who have trouble at home, because some of these issues aren't started at school, they're started at home. So, and I'm looking forward to doing that video. I really am. I'm looking forward to doing that video. But I really just wanted to kind of throw that out there, give you kind of an idea on where I stand. The guns aren't the problem, and if you've had any kind of real firearms training, you would know that, your firearm is a tool. It's an extension of the shooter. The shooter is the problem. If you're going out there committing these mass murders, if you really think about it, there are countless U.S. citizens who are licensed to carry, depending on what state you live in. You may not even be required to carry. There are states, where you can open carry, there are states like here, where you have to be licensed to conceal carry. There are individuals who illegally carry their weapons concealed, nobody knows. They don't pay the fee. However, they don't go around shooting everybody. There are those who are licensed who don't go around shooting everybody. There are cops and security personnel and veterans who have firearms on them every day, and everyone who's in their right mind don't go out there just, committing mass murders and shooting people. So we really need to pay attention to the mental illness aspect of this, and yes, there should be more strict qualifications in regards to obtaining firearms and obtaining firearm licenses, or concealed carry licenses. I can speak from experience. I've sat in some classes with individuals who definitely should not have been carrying a firearm. Some of these people are very open about wanting to shoot people, and the red flags don't get much brighter than that, So we have been dropping the ball in a lot of areas, I guarantee you, and we could do better. And, like I said before, I have firearms. I, enjoy using firearms from time to time as far as, recreational shooting, just cleaning them for stress relief. So I would say and I don't mean this in an offensive way, but I would say to my gun nuts, don't panic, because, I say, yeah, there should be, more strict qualifications and being able to obtain firearms or being able to obtain a license. If you're squared away, this stuff isn't really going to affect you. But if you do have those mental health issues, or certain things that are just evil about you, that are red flags, these are the things that we should be catching. These are the things that the law should have in place to be able to do something about the wrong people acquiring firearms, and then going out there and using them in these mass shootings. So that's all I have on this topic for now. I will be dropping a more in-depth video about this later. Again, this will be posted on YouTube and my social media accounts. Feel free to drop comments, questions, concerns, or anything like that down in the comment section. If I'm able to, I'll get back to them. I thank you for your time and have a good evening.